What is up, everybody? Mr. Curtis here. Welcome to Unit 7.8. This is the last video of Unit 7. We got 2 more units to go. We're almost at the finish line. This is mass atrocities of the world wars. We're talking about horrible things that are done by human beings against other human beings on a mass or large scale. So not just a small group of people. We're talking thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people. This is 1900, 2001. This is a depressing video, but let's rock and roll on this. So, 2 things that we already addressed that are considered by many historians to be, or debatably, to be mass atrocities. Number 1, that is definitely a mass atrocity, no doubt about it. Rape of Nanking. Japanese soldiers, if you remember, going into China, into the capital city of Nanking, slaughtering, raping, beheading, horrible, awful treatment towards the Chinese people by the Japanese soldiers. Part of that Japanese nationalism in between the wars. We also have firebombing of cities by the Allied soldiers, just without care of civilian deaths. Also, the 2 atomic bombs that were dropped by the United States one on Hiroshima, one on Nagasaki during World War II. All of these things are generally considered and are acceptable answers if you ever have a short answer question on a mass atrocity during the wars. We're going to do 2 more in this video. So we're going to do the Armenian genocide in World War I, Holocaust in the Nazi Empire, World War II. As with all things, this is going to be just a short, relatively short video. Both these topics deserve year-long courses. I'm just going to give you the basics of what you need to know for the AP exam. In class, we'll do some more stuff, videos, and I'll kind of go into some more detail. But this is just the basics, okay? So just basic stuff. Just to give you a quick overview of these 2 genocides. Now, before I do that, I do want to point out that a genocide is an act of, let me start over. It is a systematic killing. Systematic meaning like a system is in place for the killing. It's not random. It's like there's something in place. So a systematic killing of a specific group of people that you're trying to target. So both these are intentionally done by governments in order to eliminate or kill or wipe out a certain group of people. The first one are the Armenians in the Ottoman Empire. If you remember, the Ottoman Empire was multi-ethnic, multi-religious. So it's a diverse empire. Now, this map here is of post-World War I Turkey. But if you remember, the Ottoman Empire expanded here, down in this area, and there was a lot of nationalism in this region in the 18 and 1900s, which is why the Ottoman Empire was called the sick man of Europe. And one group that demanded and wanted their independence, but wasn't given their independence by the Ottoman Empire, or wasn't successfully able to get their independence, was this group of people called the Armenians. The Armenians are a Christian group who are not Turkish, who live in this area in red, these red outlines here. That's primarily Armenian regions of the Ottoman Empire. They demanded their independence. The Ottoman Empire didn't want to give it. World War I breaks out. The Ottoman Empire is fighting in World War I. Sorry, this should just be during World War I, period. And during World War I, while this war's happening, the Armenians rise up and try and get their independence while the Ottoman Empire is focused on the war. And the Ottoman Empire comes and kind of cracks down on this significantly. First, they try and deport the Armenians. They try and kick them out of the country, which is one of the early steps of a genocide where you're trying to kick these people out. So this is the deportation routes that you can see along the way. The bigger the red circle, so this is just for perspective, if you're horrible at geography, the Mediterranean Sea is over here. This is the Black Sea. This is Turkey. This is Istanbul. So these areas in bigger red are areas where larger deportations happen, and they're trying to get rid of this group of people out of the country. While this is happening, people are rising up. People don't want to leave their land that they've been in for, their family's been in for hundreds of years or thousands of years. So they're going to rise up against this Turkish government. Now, the Turkish government, the Ottoman Empire, isn't fully industrialized, but the people they're fighting against are relatively impoverished, and they're not a strong military. So the Ottomans are going to come in and really crack down on this nationalistic sentiment. Today's historical estimates are there somewhere between 300,000, which is the Turkish government stance today, to 1.5 million people were killed who are Armenians in the Ottoman Empire, which is a large percentage of the Armenian population in Turkey or in the Ottoman Empire. Today, Turkey, still to this day, refuses to recognize this as a genocide. The Turkish government's claim is the Armenians rose up, we were fighting in a war, they were fighting on behalf of the Allies, trying to weaken us, so we fought it back against them. Most of the rest of the world, most historians, and by most I mean just about everybody, agrees that this was a genocide. It was the systematic killing of a specific group of people. In 2019, the U.S. government and Congress attempted to pass a resolution recognizing this as a genocide, this event as a genocide, and it was stopped by certain members of Congress. And the Turkish President Erdogan, said, if you recognize this, we're going to declare that you committed a genocide against the Native Americans in your country. And for whatever reason, the government of the United States refused to recognize it. So this is still kind of a contentious issue today and around the world. Shifting gears just a little bit, in between the wars, between World War I and World War II, just a little contextualization. Remember, we have the horrible conditions in in Germany, not Nazi Germany yet. Horrible conditions in Germany with inflation. We have issues of the Great Depression, and we have a weak government that's not solving those problems. In Germany, one of the Nazi Party's platforms is to make German pure again, purify the German country and the German race. And one thing that the Nazis believed was polluting the German race was Jewish people. Now, these Jewish people probably spoke German, most of them spoke German, most of them were fully integrated into German society, but just because of their religious beliefs or their ancestors' religious beliefs, they are considered a target or a scapegoat by this Nazi system. And what we see in Nazi Germany, but not just in Nazi Germany, but around the world at this time, is a huge feeling of anti-Semitism. This has existed in Europe since Jews migrated there 2,000 years before this. And it's this, a group of people are different, so therefore we are going to target them. Now, Hitler and this is can't be clear enough on this. Hitler and the Nazi Party doesn't create anti-Semitism. They are tapping into a feeling that unfortunately people in Germany had at the time towards Jewish people. And it's just a difference of us versus them mentality, that they are different, and therefore we're going to target them. We see a huge rise after World War I and the Great Depression of anti-Semitism, specifically in Europe. So when the Nazis take over, they are tapping into something and feeding off of some things that people, this racism or stereotypical view towards Jewish people that they had already. When the Nazis take over in 1936, their first step of this act of genocide, one of the early steps, is these laws called the Nuremberg laws. It's passed in the city of Nuremberg, Germany, which was the capital of Nazi Germany at the time. And these Nuremberg laws are going to segregate Jewish people from non-Jewish people in Germany. And it says, if you're Jewish, you can't go onto public beaches, you can't go to public parks, you can't be in public benches. We're going to have signs on restaurants that say no Jews allowed. If you're Jewish, you are not considered a citizen of the country. We're going to strip away your citizenship, your German citizenship. If you are a teacher, doctor, lawyer, and the government has given you a license to practice your profession, you are stripped of that. So if you're a 25-year teacher who has studied and worked and passed tests to become a teacher and recognized by the German government as a teacher, you lose all that like that with the Nuremberg laws. The goal of the Nuremberg laws is, one, embarrassment. It is segregation. It is to tap into anti-Semitism. It's also a hope that Jewish people will leave Germany, and almost kind of this mass exodus. But it doesn't work because a lot of people think, and this is common during genocides, is it's not going to get any worse. That's the mentality. I'm going to stay here and ride this out. This is the worst it's going to get. And people don't know what's coming. If people knew what was coming, they would have left as soon as they can. Also, some German Jewish people do try and leave, and other countries don't accept them because other countries have basically a ban on allowing Jewish refugees into their country. In 1938, in November of 1938, there's the second major act, which is called Kristallnacht, which means Night of Broken Glass in German, where the Nazi Party officials, Nazi thugs, paramilitary, go around and they burn down Jewish businesses, Jewish synagogues, Jewish homes, and just go around and just try and destroy all Jewish areas of Germany over the course of 2 nights. And the Nazis don't do anything to stop it. They actually promote it. The firefighters don't put it out. And this is kind of the first major act of violence against Jewish people. When the war breaks out, when World War II breaks out, the Nazi Party is going to, in the areas that they've conquered, are going to create ghettos. These ghettos are going to be, they're going to force Jewish people to live in segregated areas of the city, and attempt to starve them to death in these segregated areas. However, food snuck in, and it doesn't go according to plan for the Nazis, so it leads them into what is called the final solution, which is an attempt to eliminate and exterminate through death camps all Jewish people around the world. So we're going to have a lot of like Jewish propaganda like this. We're going to measure the people's facial features to determine if they maybe have Jewish ancestry without knowing. So you might not have any Jewish ancestry at all, but your facial features line up with what is stereotypically Jewish according to the social Darwinist science. There's your Unit 6 term. Also, we have charts of how can you tell if you're undesirable, and it basically goes through like your ancestors to tell you if you are considered to be Jewish. Most of the Jews who are going to be killed during the Holocaust and in these death camps, which I'll get to in a second, are not German. They're mostly in areas that the Nazis conquer: Poland, Czechoslovakia, into Yugoslavia. So these areas are going to be where most Jewish people are killed during the Holocaust. So just two terms here, and one last thing here. I want to show you that this is steps. It's not, I don't want you to think the Nazis didn't come in, they're like, let's kill all the Jewish people. Like, that would have been outrageous to people. So it's slow and steady. It's kind of this, you start targeting people, you identify people, you say these people cause all of our problems, we need to keep these people out, and then we finally get to this step, which is camps. So we have two different kinds of camps. The original camps are concentration camps, and I don't want you to think of concentration camps as death camps. They're really two separate things. So concentration camps are really harsh prison camps. All of those are in green on this map here. You'll notice that almost all of them are in Germany, and this is where Germany should be, right here. And these are just camps they're prison camps. They're harsh. People die in them. And that's okay. And from the Nazi mentality, people are going to be starved to death, but they're not created to kill people. They're like prison camps. In 1942, at the final solution, the Nazis create 6 death camps, which are primarily in Poland. And you've probably heard of the most famous, which is Auschwitz right here. They're designed and created with the sole intention of killing as many people as possible. The people in these camps are going to work, and they're going to have to work for the Nazi government, but the goal is to kill these people. In these camps, they can kill up to 6,000 people a day, and there's 6 camps, so you can do the math. That's 36,000 people. At the high estimate, about 36,000 people a day if they needed to. If they desired to do that. There are going to be approximately 6 million Jewish people who are going to die in the Holocaust. There's another 5 million on top of that who are going to die as well, and killed at the hands of of the Nazis. This is the percentage of Polish people these are percentage of people who are killed during the Holocaust who are Jewish. You can see in blue here. I'm having trouble here. 24% of people who are Polish Jewish, which is the vast majority. You can see German Jewish is only 1% of those who died in the Holocaust were German Jewish. We often think that the people who died were like that, as if Germany had this huge Jewish population. Most people are from other areas, like I said. So Polish Jews, we have a large population of people in the Holocaust who were Soviet Union soldiers who were captured during war. We have political dissidents. These are people who rose up against the Nazi Party, whether they were opposition party members or they tried to fight against, or they had kind of this underground system to help out Jewish people. And then we have people who are Polish, Ukrainian, Belarusian, Yugoslavians, people who are disabled, Roma, who are also known as gypsies, and then just the other people. And I want to just point this out because 6 million is the number of Jewish people, but really the total number is 11 million. So a lot of people say, 6 million died in the Holocaust. That's just the Jewish people. Then there's another 5 million on top of that. So really this number is even more outrageous at 11 million people. And you can see the percentage of Jewish people killed in each country. Romania, 65%, Hungary, 79%, Poland, 92%, Netherlands, 94%. So these are insanely high numbers, and the higher they are, the more likely you were part of this Nazi empire. So that's the depressing numbers I have. I'll talk more about this. We'll go through some videos in class. If you have any questions, as always, write it down. Let's get out of this. That's depressing. That's sad. I'm out.